Pipi Manuel, Pipi Whareroa.
About here, what do you reckon they're doing for children here in terms of AOD? If you had to take a guess with what you've seen for, I'm looking specifically under 13s.
Well, again, we're tending to ignore it, problem, simply because we're saying, oh, they're too young. We say that because we haven't got the people who are qualified to deal with young people in the mainstream services that we already operate, and there's no funding to set up anything else, which is where it falls on the local community services to actually provide that input. And I haven't seen any organised drug and alcohol program working for the under 13s that is even remotely effective in dealing with the problem. If and when the problem arrives or is obvious, the most obvious place to pick it up is at school. Deterioration in work standards, health, hygiene, attitude, all those things can be associated with drug misuse or abuse, but they can also be symptoms of what else is happening in their family as well.
Or in the school, in fact. If I ran you and I said, I've got a 12-year-old, because this is what's happening to me at the moment, people are ringing me and saying, I've got a 12-year-old at home at the moment, and there's a drug problem, what do I do? I'm the parent. What advice would you give them? If they're friends of yours.
First of all, get rid of your drugs.
I don't have any drugs personally, but you know what I mean? I'm a parent who doesn't have any drugs, but I've got a child that's come home from school that's been using drugs, and that child's 12. What should I do?
Well, the obvious answer is to find the supplier for the 12-year-old, get them all together in a situation, in a school situation or a community situation, and educate them, teach them. Not with the old idle turn your brain to mush nonsense, but do you really want to stop developing at the age of 12? Do you really want to be brain dead by the time you're 22 and you've got 3 kids of your own? Do you really want to be in trouble with the police? They're all... it's very, very difficult to imagine anyone under the age of 13 being addicted to anything as such. Basically, they may be misusing those things, but they need to be diverted from it. And the diversion requires something that interests them.
Yeah.
You can't just say, oh, we're going to send you off to go skiing or whatever. You've got to they've got to be something that they want to do.
Yeah.
And if all they want to do is get stoned and get drunk, then you really need to look at you need to go to the families then and find out what's going on. Because the children are only an example of what's happening in their lives. They're the product of what their adults are doing.
Yeah. Possibly, but I guess one of the things I'm seeing now that concerns me is I'm seeing 12-year-old dealers and 12-year-old users in the school system inside families that have no idea what's going on, didn't know how to read it, and have absolutely no idea how to respond to it. And as we've discussed, the lack of services available for those people.
Well, yeah, there is. You can't stop kids making money. If there was another way for them to make money, they probably would.
Yeah.
Okay. But it's easy to steal dad's stash and whip into school and flog it off, or uncles or aunties or whoever, and sell it to your kids for lunch money, sell it to your mates for lunch money. The biggest danger involved in that is, apart from the fact that it's dumb, is that they will start experimenting with different things, harder stuff, or particularly methamphetamine now.
Yeah.
That's the biggest danger.
Well, that's what
And-
they're talking about. So they're talking now about 12-year-olds handing out methamphetamine to other 12-year-olds in the
Yeah.
schools.
Yeah.
And the assumption is that it's coming through from the gangs and being given to the 12-year-olds.
Well, that was an assumption that got proved wrong just 4 weeks ago, 3
really?
weeks ago. Yeah, they busted the young dealer who was busy making the stuff out at Canary Road.
Oh yes, let's not talk about that one.
Well, no one had talked about
But
it
I think it's in
for.
front of the courts at the moment, isn't it?
Well, yes, it is. Yeah, but therein lies the problem.
That one's not
This
very
kid-
young though. That one's in his 20s.
Yeah, but he had to sell it somewhere.
Oh, I hadn't thought of that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, there was a whole quite sophisticated system set up where he'd let off fireworks to let everyone know there was a new batch.
I know, it was driving me crazy. They were letting the fireworks off just down here. It was driving me completely nuts. There's blimmin' fireworks going off at 11:30 at night.
Yeah,
Just wanted to yell out the window at them.
that's a police problem.
No, well, I believe them.
But the reason it has been a problem for the last 2 years or 3 years is because people have been ignoring it and saying, "Oh, it's the gangs. Must be the gangs," because it's easier to blame a gang than it is to say, "Oh, my boy's cooking meth out
It
the
was
shed."
actually a local boy, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And they're probably the most difficult situations to deal with. But again, community interaction is what's required to deal with that. You can ignore it for until it starts. I've got a 12-year-old whose behaviour's completely changed. They're not concentrating, they're not sleeping, they're not doing what they're supposed to do. What do I do? Until that situation arises, then no one is even aware that there's a problem.
That's right. And it's interesting because now the problem has cropped up and people are like, we don't actually know what to do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in an ideal world, there'd be a situation where those kids got diverted.
Yeah.
Now it could be diverted through a community program, or it could be diverted through any kind of diversionary therapy, diversionary idea would do. Again, just taking them out under your wing for an older person, to take them under their wing for 3 or 4 months, but someone who's got the ability to point out to them the damage that they're doing to themselves and to offer an alternative.
Pipi Manuel, Pipi Father.